Our friend Paul Rieckhoff joining the conversation now. Of course, the host of the Independent Americans podcast, in a warmer place than New York this week. So good for you. Listen, let me ask you one thing before I get into Iran. I want to hear your answer to the question that Joe asked the speaker, like whether the president made his case. You're on the show every week, so people who know this, that you've been a critic of the president on a number of issues. Did you watch last night? Did you even watch the speech? Though it was a longest State of the Union ever delivered.
I did definitely watched, and it was agonizingly long. But I watched with great focus, especially on the national security issues, to hear if we would even hear about Iran, because this was an opportunity for the president to make his case to the American people and to the world. I think he started to do that. I don't think that he articulated to most Americans why Iran is an imminent threat to us, and that's usually what moves people in the right direction towards supporting military action. But as we've discussed for weeks, the pieces are now in place. The table is set. He can move at any minute in a way that we've never seen really since probably the invasion of Iraq when I was there, or in '91. We have such a huge array of forces put into place that it's clear at any moment now he can pull the trigger. Whether the American people support that, we'll see. I think a bigger issue is that going into last night, he had only 26% approval among independents. That's down 10% from last year. And he's also seeing his support among most Americans drop by about 10% too.
That's one of the reasons I asked you if you watched, because a lot of times this is not just true of Trump. Any president, his biggest supporters who have the biggest audience, or just in higher numbers, watch a State of the Union. But you're a good citizen, we know that. So you're doing your homework on these things. But it's just an interesting thing that plays into all of this, is who's your audience. Obviously, it's a huge audience compared to other nights. Now, on whether he made the case, let me play a clip from Trump and then get your kind of take on that after the quick answer there you heard from Mike Johnson. Here's part of the Trump argument on stage or in the chamber last night. Listen.
They were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment, again, pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
All right, so he spent about 3 minutes on it. We started talking about Iran about 90 minutes in last night. Did he make the case for a military strike in your mind? You said a moment ago he started to, in that, it would be something that's in America's interest, and also what goal it might achieve, like what would happen if we do strike?
I think your first question was an important one. What was I watching? Because most Americans weren't, right? And they're not going to see most of this. They're going to see the Olympic gold medalists. They're going to see the Medal of Honor recipients. But this is maybe the most important point. I think what's really important to underscore is he didn't talk about consulting with Congress. He didn't talk about arraying a group of allies. So I think most people in this country have a very deep caution around regime change wars. And this sounds a lot like we've heard in the past in the Middle East. Now, Venezuela went dramatically well, but we can't get too cocky and think that every military operation will go as well. And the most important thing the president didn't do is prepare us for what could be a long conflict, what could be American casualties. And I think every American president, no matter what your party, has a responsibility not only lay out the case, but lay out the cost of how American lives could be wounded, could be killed if we do decide to engage. And I don't think he even touched that.
Not a ton, by the way. I know you run an organization called American Veterans for Ukraine. On Ukraine last night, he does have, we're told, a call on his schedule today with Zelensky, but not a ton on Ukraine, and on a day that did mark 4 years of war there.
Yeah, nothing on Ukraine. I mean, it was really shameful as American support for Ukraine out of the administration has dropped tremendously. As this week there was a huge UN vote to support Ukraine, and the U.S. didn't vote yes. We abstained with groups like Saudi Arabia, which I think is a real black mark on our record internationally. He had an opportunity, especially on this important historic day, to say we stand with Ukraine, we stand on the side of freedom, we stand against Putin, but he didn't do it.
I want to shift gears radically here at the end just to get a thought on New York City with you, which is, you're normally here with me in New York. You're a New Yorker. I know you're out of town now, but I did find it interesting that you commented on social media about this snowball incident, right? So the NYPD, the cops get pelted with these snowballs the other day, and here's some of the video that's kind of gone viral. We got tons of snow, almost 2 feet of snow, and the cops there was a snowball fight, and then people turned on them and started pelting them with snowballs. But anyway, here's what you posted on social media. In his first big opportunity to stand strongly with the police, Mamdani blew it, talking about the new mayor. It did not look like a snowball fight. No mayor in our lifetime has been less trusted by the NYPD, understandably, and even less so after this. Talk more about this.
You know, like many from the Northeast, I'm still stuck in Florida with my family from winter break because we can't get back to New York because the airports are shut down and there's been so much disruption. But I think this is really, really important. You know, Mamdani has very low trust among the NYPD. That's a fact, right? I've never seen a mayor coming into office with lower support. Now, here was an opportunity for him to say, you know, this was an assault. This wasn't just a snowball fight. Anybody who watches that video can see cops getting hit in the head with ice. It looks like a mob scene. He had a really important moment to put down a marker and say he clearly stands with the cops and this is a criminal act, because the NYPD does think it's a criminal act. They put out an APB, they're looking for suspects, and he looks like time and time again, he just can't say the right thing for the cops. And I think it's a very, very important thing, maybe the most important part of his first couple of months, because if he doesn't have the cops behind him, then there's a cascading series of dominoes among civil service, among the citywide agencies that just won't stand with him and don't trust him. It was a really important moment, and he did worse than blew it. I mean, he went the opposite direction he should have gone.
Yeah, it could really hurt you as a local politician, especially here in New York. Remember, the cops turned their back on de Blasio years ago. That was a big moment, and he had his issues with the NYPD. Paul, thank you. Hopefully you get back safe and sound to New York, but enjoy the good weather in the meantime. Paul Rieckhoff. All right, we are the hottest country in the world.